It's week 13. Welcome back to the Fantasy Sanctuary. We are still chasing $40,000 up top to first place in Underdog's Battle Royale contest. We'll be talking that and anything more. You start sit questions, drop them in the chat. We're going to get to them. You got any looming playoff thoughts in your redraft leagues? I'm here to answer those questions. And any other small or large field contests, we're here to talk about all things week 13. This is the sweat. This is the home stretch push. We have 2 more weeks before the playoffs start in almost every format. It's make or break. And we're joined by a very special guest today on the channel, making his return once more to this fantastic channel that is the Fantasy Sanctuary. Without further ado, welcome, Bendels, friend of the channel, friend of the show.
Thanks for having me, big man. It's been out of the streaming streets for a while, but anytime I can hop on with my good friend Tyler, I'm always down. So appreciate you having me.
Good to see you, man. How you been? It's been too long since we gotten to chop it up and talk some motherfucking football. So it's good to see you, brother. You're looking good.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, it's mustache season. Things have been good, man. Just trying to I am feeling a little bit of burnout. Like I feel like it's crazy because I feel like I never feel football burnout, but like for some reason this year finally it's hitting me. But what's a good way to push through the burnout is get on with your boys and talk ball. So I think that'll
I can't imagine why you feel burnt out, Bendels. It's not like we've been talking about football and drafting football and thinking about football all fucking year long. since
January.
Yeah. It was playoff football in January, then it was the Super Bowl in February, and then the weekend after the Super Bowl wrapped up, the big board dropped, and we were in those streets on your channel, on our channel. I am also kind of tired, but I feel reinvigorated because I don't have much time left to chase what I want to chase. I know many people are probably in the playoff best ball streets. I am not going to be in them much for the next couple of weeks. So this for me is make or break. A couple more weeks to chase the big thing up top, and I think this coming weekend I'll be flying up to Dallas to meet up with our fellow bonk bro and fellow friend Mathology as we go to the Dog Bowl, where he will be drafting an Underdog's live final after he won a $10,000 prize and a seat to the Dog Bowl. So it feels like truly I'll be sweating a lot of live games in week 14. Some of our co-managed teams, some of Tom and I's co-managed teams, all of our guest streams. We can do a little check-in. We've got some Fantasy Sanctuary teams advancing or right on the cusp of advancing with 2 more weeks to get into the playoffs. Man, it feels like I'm reinvigorated by the sweat. I just want one good live final sweat in week 17, and I'm going to be watching a bunch of big dogs live sweat there. I think it's $200K to first this coming weekend.
Dude, that's going to be absolutely electric. Yeah, you got to get some content out of that. Absolutely.
Yeah, we're gonna do our best to get that. And as always, Joe, joining in the chat, Tom saying what up, Snowman, aka Milton, and him only, Thad, all caps. I would shout, but you all get it. I'm saying it in Thad, all caps. Welcome, everyone. It is Saturday. Yeah, big mustache season, Bendels. Big mustache season. Maybe we'll fool around with that. But crack a cold one, and let's get into it. Week 13. Is there anything right off the top that you want to mention or call out? Because there's certainly a few things that are sticking out. I'm trying not to consume too much content, going into this. I feel like the only really news-breaking thing we've heard is a double-edged sword. We heard Purdy is going to play, but it appears there might be a shit ton of snow in Buffalo because it is football weather in December. It's not December now, but tomorrow. So it's like, are we like Purdy's exciting for the offense, but it's going to be torrential snow. So all of a sudden the passing game still looks kind of toast. So it feels like that's really the only like breaking news type of thing we've heard and seen. So like, what are you got any macro thoughts on this week that you have an eye towards?
Yeah, I'm really excited about AJ Brown this week. Obviously, he has a high ADP, but I think Baltimore's pass defense has just been absolutely horrendous. So I think obviously Saquon has had the season from hell for the zero RB drafters, and that's kind of been the focal point of the Eagles and just kind of the season has been the running backs. But I really think AJ Brown is due for like a 40 burger, 50 burger, like a huge, absolute ceiling game. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah.
Um,
Market seems to
Otherwise,
agree with you with a seemingly first round ADP here in
yeah,
6-man drafts.
I think Jefferson too. Same thing. He's kind of been running cold lately, so I think Arizona's defense has been better than I think we were expecting them to be, but still not anything special. And Darnold has been pretty solid as well outside of a few games. So it's just I don't know. I think the stars might be aligning for a pretty huge Jefferson week. So yeah, of course I'm talking about the first round guy. So nothing too crazy.
Yeah, I think the tough thing with Justin Jefferson is Darnold's been much more erratic and inconsistent and less efficient, especially when it comes to the explosive plays, drive in and drive out. Outside of the first few weeks, losing your left tackle in Darisaw isn't, nothing there. But I think another big thing is that TJ Hawkinson, he's like this week, he's fully 4 weeks ramped up, removed from the ACL return. I shouted out last week that he was all systems go from a physical standpoint, likely to look much more like himself. The offense was funneling and is funneling in a multi-week stretch more targets to the tight ends as a function of the offense because of Hawkinson's return, but also seemingly to help alleviate some of the schematic issues that Darnold and the left tackle being out are experiencing. And what we're seeing right now is full-fledged Jefferson, Addison, and Hawkinson healthy. Jefferson's kind of seeing wide receiver 2-ish type of peripherals with a not top 10 quarterback play from efficiency and explosiveness standpoint. So I'm hearing what you're saying, and I put Aaron Jones in the thumbnail because really and truly, I think one of the guys that it's going to flow right through. And again, we kind of talked about this last week on the channel. We were talking week 13. Aaron Jones had a rib injury 3 weeks ago. He was limited and he split time with Cam Akers. And then last week we heard he looks like he's going to be fine. Coaches feel good about him returning to form. And sure enough, he had full workload and saw 22 carries, 3 receptions, 18.4 fantasy points. This week again, we just talked about Arizona's looked better. Really the only people that had useful games last week against that Arizona team in Seattle was Ken Walker, kind of looking like he's taking back his explosive plays, and then JSN kind of eating some of that lower ADOT quick hitting stuff. So I say that to say that Jones absolutely could do more with the same type of JSN workload, but I really like Aaron Jones as someone that's getting drafted right at 34 ADP, so not drafted every single time, drafted quite a bit. And we've seen he still looks really explosive, and he's seeing insane amounts of workload, and the offense does seem to be going a little bit more conservative as they try to kind of protect the offense. So I like the Jefferson shout out. I like the Jones leverage on that from an ADP standpoint, for sure. But I guess let's just refresh all of our minds. It is Saturday, so we've gotten a little bit of news, but for the most part, you're just seeing projections kind of adjust to that, and so the ranks are going to adjust from that quickly. So I'll just look at the quick top guys at each one, and you just see if anybody stands out to you. I'm really surprised that this week Baker Mayfield has such a low ADP against Carolina. I think Tampa Bay onslaughts versus Carolina stand out bigly. Evans a week removed from the hamstring issue, so should be full go with snap share and load. Shepard and McMillan really aren't filling in, so like Baker, Evans, Otten, and Bucky, going to be fun to stack up those teams. Carolina is not looking inept, so all of a sudden, you can have some Carolina bringbacks on that stuff with like Leggett or Hubbard for sure with the passing game. But that they have an offense that might be able to push the Bucks to keep the pedal on the gas the full game. And they need to win. The Bucks need to win this game. It's divisional, and they're fighting for their lives after winning losing a couple close ones. Anybody else stand out from either a quarterback or a team?
Yeah, I think A-Rich against New England. New England's defense has been pretty bad. And I think I would, if you can, I don't, not necessarily in like these smaller like 6-man drafts, but in a 12-man draft, like AD Mitchell is I think gonna get a
Good
lot more
shout.
run this week. So that could be a fun little stackaroonie there. And then Geno Smith against the Jets this week. The Jets defense, I mean, the whole team kind of is falling apart, offensively and defensively. So I think that could be a big blow up spot with DK healthy and JSN. So I think Gino, that's a pretty low ADP for a guy who we've seen him have big spike weeks, although it's not super consistent. So, and then last one, Drake May, probably not for like these smaller or like contests, but I do think obviously the Colts defense pretty bad in secondary, one of the worst teams in the league in the secondary. So I think maybe more for like managed other kind of stuff rather than this kind of contest, but definitely like Drake May in this spot.
I think it's a really great shout. I mean, yeah, Drake and Ramondre stand out as potentially nice single pieces. Pete has talked about some of the folks in the space talking about how naked quarterback is more optimal than not in a lot of these contests. You get all if they blow up, you get them as the blow up spot because of like just 6-player staffs. You don't have to have them stacked up at all as long as you hit the nuts elsewhere, but you got the quarterback points. So I like the shout there. Drake May with his rushing legs. That said, he's been really close to some big games, but just the offense still struggles a bit with the players. I think Ramondre is a great way to play that. I believe Pete shouted him out as well. As just far as we've seen him have workhorse loads. He's not been able to get in the red zone to really pop, but this is a get right spot against Indianapolis, as you mentioned, for many of an offense, an offensive player needing to break out. Lest we forget that Breece Hall was going the latest he's gone all season without an injury just a few weeks ago, only to have a 2-touchdown, 100+ yards from scrimmage game and be a huge piece for rosters chasing points. So, like that shout a lot. I'm just going to point out that once again, look at this is insane. The Taysom Hill is tight end 2 on the slate this week. I think that's completely justified considering he has nuke week potential. He had really strong. They just had a bye week on the Saints. They just had more coach speak about how they want to use him in every facet of the game. So I'm going to have some Taysom, but it's going to be hard to pass up. We talked about how strong Hawkinson was, 9 targets, 114 yards without a touchdown. We know his red zone role has been strong previously when full healthy. Cade Otton against Carolina looks super nice with Evans being back. He hasn't seen like monster loads. That said, I think if you're going to do Otton, either stacked up skinny with Baker, but it just wouldn't be surprising at all if Bucky and Rashad or Bucky and Tucker or whatever, the running backs are the guys that are really carving up this team because Carolina's run defense is pretty garbage. Mark
Absolutely.
Andrews had a pretty strong week on efficiency. Philly should push them. Ingram with Trevor Lawrence being back. Trevor Lawrence being back is really critical for the Jaguars. I think, it's probably been mentioned before. Brian Thomas being at 35.3. He
That's a
was
really
back to
good
really
shout. Yeah.
strong usage. His ADOTs kind of assisted him having more consistent hits with Mac Jones. Brian Thomas also more removed from the rib injury, so he should be coming back fully healthy. They're coming out of the, out of this past week with Trevor Lawrence. So I think Brian Thomas is a potential awesome, late addition. If you're doing like you're passing up kind of the middle rounds to take 2 guys late if you're not going to do scroll just for like combos. Love that a lot. And then Tank Bigsby finally healthy fully against Houston. What if he just goes back to getting the full workload? I don't mind that as a dart. We've seen Houston really struggle against everything. We saw David Montgomery and Gibbs have pretty strong weeks against the Texans just a couple weeks ago, despite their quarterback throwing 5 interceptions.
That's a really good. I like the Jags a lot this week. obviously they're talking about terrible secondaries. They have a terrible secondary, so I think they're going to give up some points
Yeah.
to Nico and Stroud, and then we've seen with Kirk out, it's just going to be Thomas and Engram just getting spam targets, especially if it's Lawrence who can support that downfield work for Brian Thomas, which is super important. And I think he's if it's Lawrence and he is who we think Lawrence is, or at least like 80% plus of who he is. I think BTJ could be a league winner down the stretch, just with that terrible of a defense and just not that much target competition other than just him and Ingram,
I'm
really.
I'm surely hoping, and I'll pull up the shout out Coach Speak Index once again, pulling up what we have so far. On the 27th, 3 days ago, they noted that Tank Bigsby would be a full workload in practice, good to go. Trevor Lawrence's shoulder had been handling practice, and it was encouraging. Brian Thomas getting better every single week. We've been able to move him all around the formation, do a number of different things, hand him the ball. He's probably been a better ball carry than we anticipated. His maturation's been great. And then the Lawrence, like he's as of right now, he's going to play. We think he's going to be a full go. We've put a full game plan together. So as far as that's concerned, Coach Speak noting 50% reliability, but like that seems pretty. If they say it's a full game plan, hard to say no. And then just a note that Parker Washington is stepping into the Gabe Davis role, and Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby are both real healthy. So we might be seeing the healthiest version of the Jaguars offense we've seen all season. A line that does struggle, but I think I want to have plenty of Mixon and Collins, who both are crushing on efficiency and workload. The Jags defense is shitty. I know a lot of people are excited about Tank Dell and going back to that well. He's been totally fine, but I would not be. I'm going to be passing up any sort of Tank Dell stuff for Brian Thomas if I'm doing mini correlations or onslaught correlations on this game. But if you're not going to get either of Nico or Mixon, I don't mind getting a piece of Tank Dell. They've just not been passing as high of a rate for Houston. They've not been passing as of well, and they're making pretty average to poor defenses look really strong just because they're giving up league high pressure rates. And Stroud's been really struggling with intermediate accuracy. So I just want to attack the explosive portions, and Nico Collins is back to soaking up all that work. But all that said,
Alpha Nico,
Alpha Nico season. Let's just get into it, and let's have a Bindles Battle Royale of a draft here as we jump into the BRs, folks.
Hell yeah, bro.
Also, we're talking Underdog Battle Royale. Not everybody plays this, but I will just say fun contest to get weird and attack some things with 40,000, or what was it this week? 15K to first. Of course, I didn't check the contest before I talked all this bullshit. But as the size is being adjusted late season, 15K is still nothing to point my nose up at. Definitely going to be attacking some of the smaller field stuff. Entrance back down below 35,000 this week. But if you have questions about games, start sits, any of that good stuff, feel free to hit that in the comments below. We'll get to all of it. How was your Thanksgiving, bud?
It was good. Yeah, didn't just had a little thing with me and the wifey. Yeah, because I live in Canada, so it's hard to travel when it's in the middle of the week. And no one has time off for anything. So yeah, didn't do the whole big family get together like I usually do, but yeah, really good. Just obviously anytime there's football all day, not on a Sunday,
So nice.
that's a great time. And yeah, I'm a Lions fan, as you guys know, so that was a fun game. The Bears fought back in the second half and made it a game, which was enjoyable because I probably just would have passed out for the last second half if they didn't start to get their shit together. So yeah, that was really fun. What else
And
did I
Bears
do?
fans get to rejoice that at least if they were going to lose like that brutal, heart-wrenching loss to poor game management late, at least they got rid of their lame duck coach.
Yeah, exactly. That's the silver lining right there, right? And I think, yeah, I do think the Bears, like if they had a different coach who just was like somewhat competent, I think like the Bears are not that bad. Like I think they're actual talent wise, like Caleb, obviously he's a rookie, so he's gonna go through ups and downs. But like we know the receivers. Oh, we're on the clock. Okay, so let's
All right, so you talked about AJ Brown, so that seems like an auto click, yes, to go AJ
yeah, I
Brown's
feel
way.
like we have to. I feel like we have
So do
to.
you want to double tap receiver here, or do you want to get some running back involved with either Bijan or Kamara?
Um, I'm very into Puka or Jefferson. So let's go AJ Brown first, and then let's talk through Puka and Jefferson. Do you have any lean there?
Well, Puka's been seeing like dominant alpha role usage in New Orleans. Their secondary is garbage,
Yeah,
and I like the matchup a lot. And I feel like there's fun ways to bring it back with either a lot of the different Saints guys. I've pulled up Marquez Valdez Scantling once again.
yeah,
He's getting used like carbon copy Shaheed and Olave with deep targets. The Rams do give up explosive plays. And we got the question about Taysom. I like Taysom a lot. He's tight end too. That makes it a little tough to load up on him, but they've said that they are finally getting back to what they wanted to do coming into the season, which is use Taysom at every position and utilize him like a Swiss Army knife. And it's hard to go away from that at tight end because he can throw a touchdown, he can run a touchdown, he can catch a touchdown. I think his pass catching role is probably less prominent this week, but it sure sounds like his quarterback and running back snaps might be increasing now that they've got MVS kind of mixing in. So I like him a lot because it's a guy that can hit in a lot of different ways, and it makes him kind of game script independent.
yeah. I mean, it's just unparalleled role, right? No other tight end in the league can run a touchdown, catch a touchdown, and pass a touchdown in the same game. All right.
So we've got the Hurt stack if we want to do it a little bit after ADP. I kind of like it. You know, if
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
if it's an
Let's do
AJ
that, and
Brown
then
game, Saquon maybe doesn't hit because of tush push. So with that said,
hedge against Saquon. Yeah.
do we take our first running back or do we take a tight end?
Oh, I really like Bucky and Chase Brown this week. Yeah, let's go Bucky. We were talking up him earlier, and obviously we're
Yeah.
talking about Carolina's run defense, pretty horrendous, and he's
But
been looking extremely explosive, extremely efficient, and this is probably the nut spot. So let's lean into it.
yeah, I have a hard time going. Like Chase's workload is going to be really strong. I do want to note a couple things. We expect the weather to be really, really cold. Burrow came out and said like the cold weather does bother him with his wrist, doesn't feel as good. We saw some over the last couple days since he said that. We've seen like his pass attempts numbers kind of reduce from the Vegas lines. That means Chase Brown likely maybe sees more like low A-dot dump offs. His workload's been phenomenal. So hard not to go Chase Brown's way. Pittsburgh is playing really good, solid defense. The Bengals have struggled at times. It's going to be a poor weather game. If all things being equal, Bucky's workload's been really strong. He's been really explosive. So, like, they're very similar players. I like the easier matchup just because Bucky nearly had 3 touchdowns the previous week. And, you know, from a matchup standpoint, from a team philosophy standpoint, from a team trust standpoint, Bucky's seeing more targets than anybody ever thought he would. Um, Bucky's getting there in explosive long runs. And like we mentioned, they have to win this game in order to stay alive. So they have every reason to keep in their explosive players while they're mixing in all 3 backs. That could keep some people away from hammering Bucky as much. And I think he's just as live as any other player to really blow up. And if the game gets a little out of hand, you know, yeah. Which I don't even think it can truly get out of hand because Bryce has been playing really, really well.
So well,
Um,
yeah.
and all things considered. So if you're gonna let me kind of split hairs, I don't mind it just because like we mentioned, well we end up getting both if we really want them.
Ooh,
We get some big ADP value and we can kind of just take whoever we want at tight end.
yeah. I say we do that.
Yeah, hard. We'll take Aaron Jones in the next one. If you're gonna give us Chase Brown, hard to say no to that. So here we have a question at tight end. We should probably get a little off the board. So do we double stack Jalen with
Um,
Goddard? or do we go like Disley or Hunter Henry?
Yeah, Goddard's a good call with oh shit. There you go. You got it. You're a master. You got it.
So we get
Goddard
the
with
Hurts double stack.
yeah, with I think Devonta Smith is trending out. I'm not sure if he's been ruled out, but yeah, I think Goddard. Anytime one of the other two guys is out, he's a very good play, especially in a high point total game against the Ravens. I think that's a nice little scroll down there.
Yeah, no, agreed. Let's see. I was gonna see if we had any notes on Smith's availability. Not seeing anything in the Coach Speak Index. I'll have to go to Twitter to check. Yeah, I don't mind. If it's the tight end position, Hurts can hit there with a 3 touchdown passing game, 2 going to Brown, 1 going to Goddard, or vice versa. You get the full double stack, especially if it's a Saquon 8-point day or whatever. But I also don't mind totally going one off. Will Disley's been very effective. Atlanta has made quarterbacks and wide receivers look like kings before in fantasy land. They are like the Bucks, where it's just like they're giving up points in the back end, so I don't mind that at all. And outside of that, it's hard to like anybody. Shig as like a dart or whatever. So it's like, yeah, when in doubt, I'm gonna correlate.
Yeah.
We got a question here from Keith Tapp. Who to flex? Taysom, Gus, Shakir, Chubb. It's a 10-man league PPR. Well, right off the bat, I know. So here, I want to do note for the fine folks that are tuning in today. Coach Speak Index got the quote from the press conference coming out of LA, and I will read you verbatim what they talked about with the running back split. For anyone getting ready to see Gus Edwards take over the backfield, I think you're going to be sorely disappointed. Here's the quote on how they see the running back room shaking out. We fully expect Kamani Vidal to step in if J.K. Dobbins can't go, which doesn't look like he will this week. He's been there before. Might be a little bigger. He might get a little bit bigger workload. We'll see. We have full confidence in him and where he's at. It's past the midway point of the season, so there are no rookies anymore. Everybody feels great about him. And then a really positive quote about Will Disley. So I'd say in PPR, Gus is likely to not see any of the passing down work. And if he does, it's going to be the same, maybe 1 target a game type of thing. That's just not who he is. That's not how they use him. So it's definitely, and then Chubb has seen really strong workload. That said, he's more of a, he got the most touches he got last week. They fully expected to load him up against that Pittsburgh team in the cold. So, we've seen them kind of like ramp his touches down to ramp them up. So after he saw it was like 29 touches, something like that, like last week, he gets the extended week, but will they load him up with as much? Who are they playing this week?
It's the Broncos. I just looked it up.
Broncos. Okay, so good setup. I'd say like it's hard to say go away from Shakir, who's been really, really efficient and has been a strong target earner. And as the guy that's like ceiling above all else, Taysom's got the biggest ceiling out of any of these guys.
I was gonna say Taysom. Yeah,
and his floor is safer than ever. Like his floor is what? Gus Edwards with 10 carries and a touchdown. That's his floor, and his ceiling is he outscores all these dudes by 20 points.
I'm going Taysom, man. It's just like, yeah, what we classify him as a tight end, but it's like he's getting a bigger workload just on the ground than maybe Gus and probably not Chubb, but then it's just like the passing, the receiving, just everything.
He's getting almost as many targets as Shakir week in and week out. Exactly. He's getting almost as many carries as Gus, and he's also throwing passes. It's hard. It's hard to sit Taysom because this is where I'm like, if I sit a guy, I don't want to look at him going off on my bench and going, I knew better, right? And I can live with Gus on my bench because if he gets 2 touchdowns, it's like you got me, like Fad saying they're talking about using Taysom at every position. That gives him 3 ways to score touchdowns. That's really hard to beat in fantasy land. He is a cheat code. If he sees any sort of quarterback running back, wide receiver usage, anywhere on the field. He's had 10 target games, he's had 10 rushing attempt games, and he's had 10 passing attempt games. Like, and the Rams, they've been good at pressuring, but like they're not absolutely shutting anybody down by
No,
any means. So,
not close.
and they're trying to win games. Oh, dude, here we shouted out with Taysom. Expert consensus rankings agree with us.
Beautiful.
I'm looking for, Pat Thorman, the GOAT over at ATR that takes pace and all that stuff into consideration, says Taysom over Chubb. I will, just for your sake, Keith, check. I was pretty sure they ranked Shakir. So yeah, Shakir ranked at 48th, Taysom ranked at 52nd. So I got to do my due diligence to let you know that like median is Shakir. I do want to note though that if there's 2 fucking feet of snow for Sunday Night Football, that hurts everybody's. That's the extreme weather that hurts everybody. Now, Shakir is a quick hitting, low ADOT yak guy, but if you don't think it's going to be Josh Allen, Ray Davis, and Cook doing a lot of the heavy lifting with running the ball against a San Francisco 49ers team that's really struggling to do anything well, with a quarterback coming off with a sore elbow and missing Trent Williams, I'd feel best about Taysom by a wide margin.
I agree. I mean, yeah, like you're really playing for those outliers, right? And Taysom is the ultimate outlier. So
yeah, if you're on the bubble, you need a win and you need a lot of points. Taysom's the vehicle to do that. All right, we get the 101 here. We're calling our shot. What are we doing? Are we taking the Saquon versus Baltimore, who have been stronger against running backs? One of the best in the league. But
I kind of like Nico. I kind of like Nico, honestly.
I was gonna say I kind of like fading the Saquon because if given the chance to hedge my fade in best ball season long, I'd rather double down on getting absolutely dicked in my face by Saquon Barkley.
Yeah,
and we'll have some Barkley this week because they've talked about using him more in the pass game. That'll help, especially if Smith is out. But yeah, it does smell like an AJ Brown game. So we're going Nico 101. I like it.
Is that where your head's at, or you want to go Mixon?
It's hard not to go Mixon because he does have like the 3 touchdown game in him. But Nico's fun, so I'm good with either Houston guy. I can be talked either way.
Let's go Mixon.
So bad.
I bless your Mixon pick.
You know what? He's been robbed of 3 touchdowns in 3 weeks in a row. Let's go Nico because we've got running backs we like. We're gonna add Aaron Jones to this roster. James Conner just got an extension. That said, he's been kind of splitting touches in that backfield. Looks like Breece Hall is trending towards playing last time we checked. So he's gone from like a top 15 ADP down to 36, back up to 26.
Chuba's
and just work like the pass game and the red zone workload too nice to ignore. I think as long as Brian Robinson plays, Jeremy McNichols is a tougher click to matter.
Yeah, I don't like that one. Let's see what else. Is Spears trending to play this week? Because I believe he is.
Yeah, it looks like he's probable. So that makes the Pollard thing less enticing.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Spears is out, then I think Pollard's ADP would be a lot higher. So
yeah, Brian Robinson's fun though, just because his goal line workload is really strong. That said, their run defense is pretty strong. They stymied Joe Mixon and folks. Not that Houston's they're not a good run or pass protecting unit. Joe Mixon's been really efficient. So, all right.
Let's see here. Ooh.
Bijan could be fun.
I was gonna say if Bijan falls to us.
He's been crushing. They're coming off of the bye week. Hard not to like that. Okay, so Bijan goes. We have our choice. We can go Cup, Lamar. We've got the tight ends available. We talked about the Taysom. What do we want
let's
to do
go
here?
let's go Cup.
Okay, we're gonna go Cup. Do you want to do? Do we want to do naked Lamar? Do we want to try to backstack him, or do we want to take Taysom and get like a mini correlation here?
Well, you were talking about naked quarterback being pretty fun, but so I'm always down to take Lamar.
Okay, cool. Maybe he'll come back to us then. Trying to build a little super team, and then we can do one scroll down. That said, I mean, it's not fun, but Bateman's undrafted right now, and he is seeing the random touchdown game. That said, you likely want a higher ceiling wide receiver. Philly's been much better defensively, so this might be a game where Baltimore kind of struggles a little bit. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Like Philly's been much better the back half of the season with adjustments and scheme calling. So this could be a game where the Eagles outscore the Ravens by a lot on offense in fantasy land. But if Lamar does Lamar things, so if he's like a 30-point game and Bateman gets 14, that stack in and of itself might be enough to get over the hump of not a 20-point game. Scroll down receivers. The Jets guys and Metcalf are all interesting. We've mentioned Brian Thomas is probably the most interesting of these guys. Marvin Harrison was so close to a touchdown last week. Feels like you say that every week. Ridley seeing a lot of good usage.
Ridley against Washington is very sneaky, but I like it a lot.
Yeah. And then we had the Adonai Mitchell. And then I will shout out Darnell Mooney, who had like an Achilles soreness issue coming into the bye week. They dropped his snap percentage down below 60% for like the first time all season. They had the bye week, and now they're saying he feels real good. He's back to feeling really normal like himself. LAC does not have like a shutdown defense by any means. So Mooney could be a really interesting piece who's not getting drafted very often. Who was up until that Achilles injury seeing some of the most efficient and best workload in a high-powered offense. We did not get Bijan, so that could be a little game theory perspective. And then any receiver playing Tampa Bay feels live to have a big game. David Moore getting there against Kansas City.
10 targets last week, yeah.
Like any of those guys.
Very good calls.
What's up, Yosh? And then of course, Thad wants some Mooney. One of the premier Mooney fans.
All right, Emo. Who you? You take these two picks. Whatever your.
Well, I mean, it looks like we're gonna get Bucky. So Bucky and Jones could be fun. Bucky and Shuba could. Jones is lower ADP. We talked him up. Let's go Bucky Jones.
Okay.
Both guys who are explosive on the ground and in the air and are seeing 3 to 5 targets a game. That seems fun. And then we can just do whatever we want at tight end because tight end doesn't matter. And I think that the combos we've kind of paired here are good.
Yeah, let's see what other. I'm trying to think.
We could do the Baltimore stack. Lamar to just Andrews is probably not done as often. What's Flowers ADP? So Flowers and Mark Andrews are going back. So I'd imagine that we see a lot of double stacked Lamar in this contest. So probably could be unique to do Lamar and Henry to go against the running back narrative. But that said, I would expect the naked Lamar to be pretty unique considering the ADPs of Flowers and Andrews. So Andrews could be interesting. Hunter Henry. Hooper gets the long touchdown, but he sees 8 targets again last week against this. It's a soft matchup. Disley got good workload and then got talked about really heavily with the coaching staff. Juwan catches a touchdown last week, but his role is hard to trust. We'll be interested to see how they deploy Fant, who is harder to matter in games simply because he's not really in on the play action blocking stuff in the red zone. So his gimme touchdowns are harder to come by. Not as many good scroll down tight ends, but all the tight ends are going like round 3+. So I guess And that way, why can I not see the draft board? There it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the game theory, like of Andrews stacked up, or if, would you want to leverage off of it?
What's up, KY?
I think we're gonna have our choice here. Let's see.
Yeah, it's like, is this chalky? I don't think
I
so. I
don't
think
think so.
in
Yeah.
years past it'd be super chalky, but people him getting the touchdown makes it more viable, but his ADP suggests, he's going after Goddard for fuck's sake. Now, and that's stacking, so it's like,
My gut says Andrews, but
yeah, I think if Disley's whole thing is like, a couple like 6 to 7 targets, you're hoping he catches a touchdown. Well, as far as stacking is concerned, Lamar makes sense, at least at tight end. I feel like correlating the quarterback to tight end makes a lot of sense because if you're capturing the touchdowns via the tight end, that's the only way the tight end matters in these contests. So if Andrews doesn't catch a touchdown, he's dead anyway. If Lamar doesn't throw and run for more than 3 touchdowns, he's probably dead on the slate anyway. If both those things happen, it's probably better for our slate than throwing a dart at K. Dotton because we went with Bucky. So we want just all the touchdowns to go to Bucky in this roster. And then it's hard to take Hunter Henry naked just because like passing volume is not very heavy with New England. So, likely being back, not great, but Kolar being out, maybe, just maybe, Andrews is kind of utilized more in his normal role that we're used to, with likely kind of helping out with some of the blocking stuff.
yeah,
Purple Yo saying fun week in BR. I think there are large parts of the board you can skip and still make sick teams. I mean, I think the ADP shows you that. There's a lot. It's a lot of flat shit positionally. It seems like. Shouting out Ken Walker too.
yeah, Ken Walker was running so hot in the beginning of the season, and then it's kind of cooled off a little bit. But I mean, he's always liable for a huge week, just breaking a long run or getting the touchdowns, along with the passing game work he's getting now. And yeah, like we were talking about, the Jets defense and just Jets as a whole are kind of falling apart. So
yeah, we get another blessed with 101 here. I feel like we gotta change it up a little bit. So we go in Saquon, we go in Mixon at the 101.
I mean, let's get. I mean, I don't know how many of these have you done. I feel like we got to get some Saquon just
Let's get some Saquon
for the vibes.
Let's get some. Let's just leverage against. It's BR. You might as well leverage against all the teams you made.
Yeah,
because it only takes one to make it totally viable that you leveraged some of your other rosters. Because that's what you're trying to do anyway. You're trying to leverage against all the other rosters drafted. So with this Saquon team, we can likely just draft it as if Saquon gets another 25 to 40. Jesus Christ. Come on, Underdog. Be cool. I'm trying to speed up the draft. Thank you. Another 25 to 35 point game, which likely means none of the other guys are viable. So we can draft this as our lone eagle. And now, do we want a Baltimore bring back? We mentioned that Philly's defense is stronger. Maybe that's what makes Saquon super strong this week. I think Saquon and AJ Brown could be really strong just because they might have several chances on offense with short fields or shorter drives from Baltimore than maybe the market is giving them credit, just because that defense has been really strong.
Yeah, 100%.
And then this is the hard part. Pete shouted out the Jets guys. I get it. Rodgers to look dog shit, and this team is so fucking defeated. Like, there's been no dead cat bounce. They have fired everyone so slow and painfully on the way out and publicly dragging them that, like, if anything, this feels like I don't really want anybody. And if I am, it's going to be like the young guys that can really get there. I have a hard time really wanting Adams or Wilson just because they could just get dicked down on by Seattle. Like this could be another Seattle game where they win, where they play like a 13-16 game like they just did with the Cardinals, who are trying to play for something. I don't know, man. The Jets are so, and again,
dumpster fire.
Their ADP sucks. So like you can get a couple lineups. It feels so bad. It feels so hopeless.
Ooh, yeah, I'd like to get some Evans.
Is anyone from a game theory standpoint? Is anyone doing just the Hurts Saquon stack?
Probably not. I mean, yeah, you were
Should
talking.
we
Yeah,
for
yeah.
like the
Let's
past?
well, yeah.
Okay,
Let's go Hurts, and then I don't know. Do you want? I kind
you
of
shut
like.
it out Evans, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I just think against Carolina, like I feel like that's like his. Uh,
That's his bitch.
I was gonna say that's his bitch. Like he just literally like what was it like? Was it 2 years ago when he had like a 45-point game in Week 17 against them?
Famously, Evans only scores all the touchdowns against Carolina in their first game of the season, not their second game. So yeah, Mike Evans said, "You my bitch today." I like it. And then we do a little game theory. If Saquon's gonna have that stupid like massive game, it's because he's catching like a 40-yard touchdown, which correlates well with Saquon. So I like it.
Yeah, this is a fun one. Switch it up a little bit.
You gotta play it weird. And I think the weird stuff we've seen from a Sims standpoint, it's been mentioned time and time again all season long that quarterbacks with running backs are not as negatively correlated and are pretty well um popping in the Sims because people aren't doing it as often. And the way that running backs are being used right now, they're seeing less workload, but they're being utilized more creatively. We're seeing Justice Hill catching 40-yard touchdown, like swing and wheel route passes. We're seeing screens go for long ways. And right now, the Eagles are loving all the positive PR they're getting for making Saquon look incredible week in and week out and make the Giants look stupid. So against a game like Baltimore, they are strong against running backs. I expect the Eagles to be able to utilize Saquon in interesting ways to be able to mitigate some of that. And also, they've yet to play a team, unless I'm mistaken, with such a good dual threat and respected dual threat. Not just as a dual threat, but as a guy that can rip a 50-yard touchdown pass to AJ Brown. So I think that helps Saquon in the run game quite a bit. Hi, Milo. You saying hi? All right, guys. Very special treat. Here's our new pup. This is Milo. He's
So
getting
sweet.
settled in. This is his first week here. He's got one of the biggest heads I've ever seen in my life. All right, we're coming back up on the rat. Running backs are king, Thad. If it's what we've learned. It's what we've learned. Just take the best running backs.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
No, go
Let's
ahead.
see. Probably a team where Bucky's fine for like team level correlation, but probably not a bad idea to try to look elsewhere. What was Brees dealing with? It was
It was a
a
knee
knee.
like soreness or something.
That does worry me about like workload. He is a bud, dude. He thinks he's a 30-pound lapdog. He's not. He's a skinny 75-pound puppy, and
Holy
he's
shit.
crushed my dick more than once this week.
Um. Yeah, I mean, I like Brees.
You like Brees? What do we want to do? Do we want to do JSN, Lad, Drake, or do we take TJ with the tight end?
Let's think through this. Do you have any other
I kind of like
flowers?
TJ and then going like BTJ or Calvin Ridley
Yeah, I like that better. I like that
or
better.
Mooney.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
because
go Hawk.
he is a tight end whose ceiling is just as high as everybody else's. I know the Saquon pairing is probably frequent with the ADP. The Hertz pairing is not as likely with either Hawkinson or with Saquon as well. So I think we're okay there. Our tight end ceiling remains pretty high. We get him in the fourth round. He should be going in the same round. I mean, honestly, Taysom, McBride, and Hawk should be going in like the third round, just given there is a pretty precipitous drop off in projected points, but also like realistic ceiling. And then it feels like this tier is very flat. So I
Yeah,
don't
super
have any
flat.
reason to take a pretty flat tier of receivers who are all pretty viable versus the very, very strong. We're talking 9 to 12 targets a game Hawkinson, who's yet to see his normal red zone role. This could be the week where he gets that red zone role back from Jalen Naylor.
Yeah, Hawk was. I mean, before his ACL tear last year, he was going absolutely ham. So I think now that he's should be back to his normal self. And he had a pretty big game 2 weeks ago. Like it was like I think 8 or 9 catches. And should be a high scoring game as well. So.
Yep. Yeah, he does feel like a smash. And then Milton, you are not the only one scared to draft Jettas. I at the top of the show, I like Bendels is into it. I get it. I really do. But the way that they're playing with Addison and Hawkinson and the fucking backup tight end and the running back, the way they're spreading the ball around, Darnold himself is not hyper targeting Jefferson, and that feels like a shift, not just because of health of the offense. That feels like a philosophical shift from the coaching staff. From what I've gleaned, watching, read, and talked with some of the local fans, it feels like they're trying to make Darnold less volatile by making him spread the ball around, lower the ADOT, improve the likelihood of the completions, utilize Yak, and decrease on deep turnover stuff. And that's coming at the expense of Jefferson's explosive plays. He's kind of turning into more of they kind of turned him into like JSN this year, where it's like take these 5, 6, 7 yard hitches, slants,
plays, yeah.
and digs. And if you can break one big, awesome. If not, don't worry. We don't want Darnold throwing it into double coverage 40 yards downfield is what it feels like they're doing right now. And it's hard to blame them.
I mean, it's working.
It's working, and the offense is healthy.
Okay, yeah, if we can get BTJ, I would love that.
We're just gonna smash the BTJ and end up with a high projected ass squad with some nice correlation.
That's an alpha ass team right there.
It is alpha ass, and we did not do like a true scroll down, but we took a guy that's not getting taken in 100% of drafts thus far with BTJ, who has a ceiling that matches or supersedes everybody else when properly adjusted for. And I don't believe the projection is adjusting for that. And again, we've done something where it's Hurts to Barkley. So we don't believe that pairing's happening very often. And it's certainly not happening very often with the more likely pairing of TJ and Saquon from an ADP standpoint. We're taking Breece Hall, and who, if he's fine, his workload, super strong efficiency, we know what it is, and the matchups, everything looks and feels really nice, which means this is going to be a dog shit squad on Sunday, or it's going to be in top 10. There's no in between.
It's one or the other, yeah. All right, brother. I gotta head out. I gotta
go ahead, and then I will power us down, brother. Thank you so much for having us on, coming on and joining us. Do you have anything you wanna shill or let people know where to find you? Or are you just popping in and out these days like Batman?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty chill until probably January, February. I'm gonna try to get some regular stuff going, but yeah. Shout out to you guys. You guys are absolutely killing it. And I really appreciate you having me on. Always enjoy the content and just hanging out with you, bud.
All right, brother. You have a good one. Happy belated Thanksgiving. Good lion hunting, and thanks as always for joining us. This was fun to chop it up, brother. Have a good one.
Have a good one, guys.
All right. I think we're gonna draft one more BR here before we power it down. If you have any questions, start, sit, or otherwise, feel free to drop them. We're just here hanging. Time to get some music going. We do our last draft of the day. Just hang out. Turkeys I made 3 gallons of red beans and rice, I think. Threw in some, had some leftover grass-fed beef that I threw some chunks of that into the red beans. Was delightful. Fried turkey has always slapped. Dude, after it got done resting, I fucking sliced into that chicken breast and it was just juicy as all hell. That was such a wholesome chat. I love it. I've had so much food. It's been fantastic. I gotta get my ass up to the gym. Friend of the community, Magikarp, and then I believe that's you, Milton, in the 4 spot. And then I'm going to see Godfrey, the comic, tonight at the Houston Improv. Very excited about that. we will gladly take Joe Mixon at 3. Hell yeah, brother. So what are y'all's appreciate you, bundles. You have a great weekend, man. Glad you could join us. Shows are always more fun with guests. And if you're here and you haven't already, please hit the like, please hit the subscribe if you're not already. I think it's in subscriber only mode, so please hit the like. Every like matters, every like helps on our road to 3,500, on our road to 4K. I think we can hit 3,500 before the end of the year. And then we can use hot best ball off-season summer to crush through to 4K subs. I have some fun giveaway thoughts for 3,500 and 4K, as we did when we hit 3K subs. Especially if we bink this weekend. I really like... Hard not to go Bijan. Cup against New Orleans feels tasticles. We're going to go Cup. Try to get us some Rams, Saints correlation. Get a little off the board. Because I think I like Bucky in a vacuum over Mike Evans on the slate. But we want to get a little off the board, so we will most likely mix in some Aaron Jones, some Brian Robinson. James Conner's pass roll has been really strong, so if he gets a touchdown, that makes it very interesting. Mike Evans comes back around. We're sticking to our guns, though. We said we like Bucky over Evans, so we're going to be done with running back here. And then scroll a bit for the wide receiver. Pickens versus Cincinnati feels very live and fun. He's yet to really blow up. He got close a couple weeks ago against a good Washington defense. The guys going against Atlanta are very fun. Metcalf looking good, but not getting outshined by JSN straight up. No qualms about it. I've taken BTJ a couple times. I think Ridley definitely makes sense. Oh, I'm on the clock. We're going to take Drake London. He projects better. We're not going to be afraid of reaching. Also keeps our quarterback alive. Justin Herbert's been rushing a lot more. He projects pretty interestingly. We could take naked Justin. Not many folks are likely to do that. We can also stack him up with Disley. That seems live. Atlanta just makes everybody score a shit ton of points. Ladd McConkey would have been more interesting for sure, but I think a more unique pairing that gets us away from that. Jaden has the blow-up game with that last 50-yard touchdown. Dude, we're so fucking sharp, bro. Come at us. Yeah, I'm just going to do Herbert and then figure it out. Disley makes sense. I wish I was more into Ingram, but he just... Coming off the injury, I know it's Mac Jones partially, so maybe that's, quarterback bump. Shouldn't ignore that at all. All tight ends suck. Yeah, he's just been taking off and rushing, and this is going to be one of the softest passing matchups he sees. So, if he can have a touchdown to QJ, a touchdown to Disley, a touchdown to Ladd, and none of those guys be optimal, but if he does that, which could be more live considering J.K. Dobbins is out, some of those quick passes could go to Ladd, could go to QJ, could go to Will Disley. if he fucking throws a touchdown to Josh Palmer or, God forbid, fucking Jalen Reagor, who got 2 targets last week. They've spread the ball around quite a bit. I think like 7 or 8 different receivers have received 2+ targets the last few weeks. So I like Herbert a lot with the rushing and with the passing efficiency, but don't have to stack him. I think we are going to stack him, though, with Disley. Because if we can consolidate the quarterback to tight end touchdowns, we will. All right, folks, that was fun. Thanks, everybody, for coming out and hanging. For those of you that did, appreciate you. Shout out Milton, a.k.a. Snowman. Shout out Purple Yosh. Shout out Bendels. Dude, I need Lad to go absolutely ham, brother. We got 2 weeks to go. He's had a little bit of a bad run out with not getting the touchdowns or just leaving games early. So very excited. Shout out to Thad. Shout out to Tom and Rich. Been dropping a shitload of good content. Part of the reason why I didn't go live yesterday is because they were going live. So if you missed that show, start sit for all the games, go check it out. Leave a like, leave a comment. Leave a comment after this show if you liked it. Give me your favorite play of the week. If any of those players are, shout out one player, and if they're on the winning lineup, I'll Venmo you a BBM. Would love to see some of your alpha and hear about it. Shout out to Rohan as well. Follows me on all the socials. Real big homie. Appreciate everybody. So much love for everyone. Hope your bags get good boosts. I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, 10:30 Central, 11:30 Eastern. Before kickoff, we'll go live for about an hour like we usually do and help you set your last minute start sits, anything like that. Leave it in the comment right after the video. AJ Brown, I believe. If you have a player that you that's your flag plant for being on the winning Battle Royale this week, leave that player in the comments. I will keep track, and if they're in the winning lineup, I'll send you a BBM as we power down and give thanks and get straddled up for the playoffs and for Christmas season. Thanks, everybody. Much love. Have a good one.